Hello, everyone. I hope you're having a wonderful time, whatever the time is that you're tuning into this podcast. This is your host, Hassan Ahmed from the Millennial Kurd. You guys tell me, how's the weather? It's weird, dude. One day it's summer, it's like 30 degrees, and then the next day it's like winter, it's like 11 degrees Celsius, dude. Yeah, this is the weather in Duhok. You got to get used to it. One day it's hot, one day it's just cold. Um, but yeah, we don't really have autumn in Duke, dude. It's just all of a sudden it's freezing, and that's it. Winter is here. No autumn at all. From summer to winter. So, you guys, I really want to tackle a question that's been. I mean, it's a bunch of questions, but they all lead to the same thing. So I've been asked a lot about how to become a freelancer. How did you become a freelancer, Hassan? Um, is it possible for anybody to become a freelancer? Is it more profitable to be a freelancer, or is it better to have a stable job at a media agency? First of all, you can be a freelancer and still work for a media agency, because then the media agency is your client, basically. The real thing is that you guys need to know is that freelancing is basically you become your own boss. So you accept or reject clients, and you have to take the risk of actually fully depending on yourself to get clients. So that's the pros and cons. We'll leave that for later, but for now I'm gonna start talking about how I did it, how I became a freelancer. First of all, photography and videography, it's something really interesting that a lot of people do unintentionally or intentionally, because everybody has a camera in their pocket nowadays, so everybody's taking photos and everybody's getting really creative at it. I'm seeing some crazy good iPhone photography or Android devices photography. It's really good. So despite all of that, but I started actually with an iPhone 6. I started taking photos with that back in 2014. So before I started taking photos and everything like that, I was really trying to learn as much as possible on YouTube. And I spent many hours, dude, many hours on YouTube trying to research stuff. What's the best camera to have? How to shoot B-roll? How to take nice epic photos and stuff like that. Like that orange and teal back in the days was lit. I used to Google that a lot and watch a lot of videos on of YouTube on how to color grade and stuff like that. Even though I didn't have a computer, I didn't have a camera, I didn't have anything. All I had was my iPhone. So I started with my iPhone 6, and I took photos and I started editing them on Snapseed, I think. Yeah. And then I figured out, oh, there's an app called Lightroom. Well, let me try that, and it was an eye-opening experience. I now can suddenly manipulate all the colors in the photo, and that was a great experience. Experiencing that app for the first time was great. So, when I first started, okay, so I had a Sony Cybershot from I think it's a model from 2010. Wait, actually, let me show it to you. There it is. This is the Sony. This is the Sony Cybershot. Okay, it's from 2010. I think, I'm not sure, to be honest. Don't quote me on that. Um, So what's special about this camera is that it has a manual mode on it. It's not just auto. You can see it over here. There's an M for manual. So that's really great, because I really needed that, because all the videos that I was watching, everybody was saying, "Oh, go manual. It's gonna change your life." And I was like always using auto. So I started with that camera, and I started taking photos for friends and families, and then I watched a video on light painting, and that's when it really got interesting to use the manual setting. Oh my God, dude, I love coffee. Yeah. So it was interesting for me. So in order for you to become a freelancer in this field of photography and videography, you have to be interested in it, because it's a form of art eventually. You have to be an artist. Every picture you take is, you make the composition. Sometimes you even create the content inside the photo. So you have to actually be an artist to be able to do something creative and something nice. Of course, you can learn it, it's a skill, but when it comes to comparing ideas and thoughts and things like that in photography, it's better if you like it, if you like doing it, if you don't take it as a job, if you take it as something you love to do always. So to me, it was a hobby. And being a hobbyist, I was taking photos of everything, and then suddenly I started taking photos for my friend's restaurant food. I was just like, it was interesting for me to take photos of food. And then he saw the photos and he said, shout out to my friend Abdurrahman, by the way. He's the one who motivated me to do this. And yeah, so he one day he came and he really liked my photos. And one day he talked to his father, and then he came and he talked to me. He was like, dude, do you want to work for my father's restaurant? And I was like, yeah, dude, why not? That's great. So I did. I started taking photos and making videos with that camera. Everything that I could do with that camera, I did. Um, I remember I was getting paid $100 a month, and that was a lot for me, dude. Even though it was not covering the cost of fuel, driving to the restaurant and going back and forth. But the thing was with the restaurant that I worked for, it was I had a lot of freedom. I had a lot of freedom to pick and choose whatever content I wanted, whatever food item I wanted to take photos of, and I also back at that time, I also had like like free meals and stuff like that. So it was great. I really enjoyed that that part of it. Anyways, I started taking photos and I started getting paid $100 a month. And then, the first month, of course, you're going to spend it like crazy. Oh, I got $100. It was the first money I made off my photography. And then I really thought about it. I was like, if I really do good in this, then, I'm going to be the first one in Duhok who does food and product photography. Because at that time, I was really not interested. And even now, I'm not really interested into wedding photography and like portraits and stuff like that. I mean, I do take for photos like that for my friends and myself as well, but mostly it's just product photography. So, yeah, dude, I started after I started working for that restaurant. I started to get offers from the rest of my friends who know people who have restaurants. So I started working for within a year. I started working for a bunch of restaurants, and I started to build up some money, and then I bought a new camera, Canon 70D, which I have, but I don't know where I put it. Yeah, it's not here. So I'll show you that later. But yeah, so the Canon 70D with a 50 millimeter lens, the nifty 50, it was freaking great, dude. I it was the first camera that I bought with my own money, so it's really special to me. I'm never gonna sell that camera. I still have it, and I'll always have it because it's something sacred to me. So, anyways, I kept investing money into my business, and I'm still doing that till this day because it's an investment. You get a return on that investment, so you never lose money. The money you make and you spend, like, no matter how much you spend on your business, it's not waste as long as you work hard for it, right? So what I did was I kept getting clients, and I had a lot of friends who had, like, good relationships with other restaurants and stuff like that. Um, but nothing comes easy, to be honest with you. It was really hard and difficult, because I was not getting paid a lot, and I was working for a bunch of restaurants, and I sort of burnt out. It reached that level that I had a lot more than I should have on my plate. So eventually my work quality degraded because I had too many clients. I wasn't catching up. And then I started quitting from some. I was like, okay, I have to stop this. I have to quit from some jobs to be able to, I have to quit from working for some clients in order to be able to, have more focus on some more important clients that I'm sort of sucking at, taking photos for them. So, I had a lot of stress and a lot of burning out and all that stuff. So I quit from few, and then it got better. It got better again, and I started working again. So there's a lot of challenges that I faced in the beginning, of course. First of them was I always thought, like, I don't have a good camera, I don't have a good light, all that stuff. So not having enough gear, I had to get creative using one source of light, and that was difficult. But you know what? Once you master that, you master having one light, it's great, dude. And this is what happened. Like, if you give me one source of light with a camera, I can do whatever the heck you want. I'm so good at that right now because I've worked a lot like that. So and then the next thing I wanted was having nice backgrounds for photography, because I would like look on YouTube for food photographers and stuff, and they would have those really nice wood photography backgrounds, and they were really expensive, $300, $400 per background. That was a lot. I would never, still to this date, I will not pay that much for a background. So I tackled that problem with making my own. I bought a huge piece of plywood, which was, I think, 2 meters by 2.5, something like that. So I made squares out of it, and then I just put a bunch of paint on it, and I started getting creative with it, and it was just like a painting. So it was nice, actually. I made like, I don't know, 20, 30 of those different backgrounds, and I started using them for my photos, and I was really happy with them, and I still have a bunch of them, actually. Um, one more thing that I was facing is that clients didn't always like my work. So sometimes I had to like repeat or redo an entire photo shoot, of 30, 40 items. That was a lot of work. That was a lot of work. You're like doing it two times, and it was hard. I would get upset about it, but eventually, you made a deal, and you have to stay. You have to keep the deal. So, most of the time, actually, because of the burnout and the stress, I would get like an art block, which is basically you can't produce anything nice, no matter how you grab the camera, how you take the photo. It's just not gonna look nice, dude. So one way I got out of that art block is by I was really, really into the photography business and everything. So I was like, let me try something new. Let me try to do video, and then that's when I started to do video. When I was like tired of photography, I was like, okay, I'm gonna make some videos, and I started making video tutorials on my Instagram. I still have them, but it's in the archive. You will never see that. But the old followers on my Instagram know that I made a bunch of tutorials, which I had no idea what I was talking about back in the day because I was just starting. But yeah, so I started doing those videos. It made me feel better, and then I started working back, like on my photography skills and everything, and I basically got out of that art block. Um, so I, the other thing was I didn't have, I was looking at videos, and I was comparing myself to those people who are like influencers and creators, and they've been in this business for years. And I would compare myself to them, and I would say, oh, I don't have props. This is why my pictures suck. And I would like be like that. But then I would get creative with the props that the restaurant itself or the coffee shop itself had, and I would use that. I would utilize it to produce something nice. So all these things taught me a lot about, like, if you don't have gear, it doesn't really matter. What matters is the idea that you have, and what matters is how creative you are and how you can implement it and how much you love to do what you do, because that's going to push you to be more creative, to produce a nicer content eventually. So, to talk about how you can be a freelancer is most people say, how do you start? Like they just want a starting point. Well, a starting point depends on you, but you can start going to restaurants and asking them, if they want photos and you're like a photographer. So before that, you have to do a lot of free shoots, to be honest with you. I did that too. Um, you have to do a lot of free photo shoots for restaurants, for coffee shops, and give it to them for free and tell them to, like if you need photos later, you can hit me up, and we can make a deal or something like that. You can do that. You can do a social media campaign, and that's going to help a lot. Actually, social media campaigns do work. Social media campaigns are pretty good, actually. um, if you promote your posts, that you're a photographer and you're offering some deals, some discounted deals for people or whatever. That can work actually. And what you need to do to start, actually, you need a camera. A phone works too. You don't really need a professional camera nowadays to be able to produce something nice. Phone cameras have evolved so much that you can. I mean, you can tell a difference between a DSLR and a camera, but still, it's good enough. Phone cameras right now are like really lit at the moment. They're going crazy. But yeah, so you can like have a single source of light as well, because that's really important for photography. Light is even more important than the camera that you have. And you're all set. I think all you need now is to edit your photos, and you can use your phone as well for that. You can just use the normal Lightroom app. You can do a monthly subscription for $5. It's nothing, and you can just edit and do everything on your phone. You can get paid for it too. So that's it. You're all set. That's all you need, and you must enjoy. You must enjoy it, like, because you can't force it. You can't force that you want to work as a photographer. Don't force it upon yourself. You have to like it. You have to like being a photographer, doing all this creative stuff. So after all, it's art, and it needs to. I've talked about that. It's like it needs love and passion. So you must have both. Why should you be a freelancer? There aren't many people that do product and food photography. If you're interested into that field of it, because it's not saturated right now. So the money's good. It's not bad. It's not as bad as it used to be, but it's yeah, it's good. It's good money. And we as a city, of Duhok, we're advancing rapidly right now. There's new buildings, and there soon are going to be new businesses that are opening their offices over here. So that's a great opportunity to start right now, to build up your reputation, and then eventually, when those businesses are here, and everybody wants, a skilled photographer slash videographer. So you have reached that level, you have worked and you have experience, and you can now provide. It's really important to think about that, because with all these buildings, some of them are being specially built for offices and things like that, and huge companies are going to come to Duke. So the market is open for anybody who wants to join in, and it's not saturated at all. If you think there are too many product and food photographers, you're mistaken. There's a lot of wedding photographers that are doing, like, they're doing the product and food photography, but they're not, it's not their specialty. You understand? So if you take that route and you want to become a food and product photographer, I guarantee you that you're going to be doing great, because that's going to be your specialty. And you're basically going to be one of those few people that do that, just that, nothing else, for a living. I personally just do that. I don't do anything else. So you can overcome anything if you keep going. Have you, like, overcoming all these problems that you might face with your clients, not getting paid and stuff like that? That's very normal, if you get that in the beginning. But then you're going to learn you have to get paid, like, up front. It's better for you. But also you have to be trustworthy, that you give your clients what they really paid for. So don't take the money and then run away, and don't also give them the content and then not receive any money for it. So make sure to find the balance there, dude. You have to get paid eventually. Um, yeah, so sometimes it's tough, sometimes it's easy. So you can overcome anything if you keep going, of course. Because I mean, have you seen an airplane that stops midair and then takes a break? No, of course not. It's gonna fall. So once you start, don't stop. Keep going. Keep like, learning new techniques, new styles of photography. It's really important, because I see everybody's just doing the moody photography right now, which is sort of, it's easy to do with one source of light, absolutely. But you have Photoshop. So even if you have one source of light, you can take two pictures with light positioning with a different light positioning. So it's going to be like easy for you to then manipulate it and then to turn it into a one nice and bright picture. So you can do bright photography as well with one source of light if you know what you're really doing. Despite all of that, then what really is there to do is to just for you to motivate yourself to start. I'm not going to be there to tell you to start. Nobody's going to be there to tell you to start. You have to find the right time for yourself. And there's no better time than right now, my boy. I'm telling you that. Thank you for listening in. This is your host, Hassan Ahmed from the Millennial Kurd. Make sure to subscribe if you want to see more content like this. And don't forget to hit the thumbs up button because that shows me that you really like my content and motivates me to do more. So thank you very much. Catch you in the next one.